The Northman. Wow. This film, as I said in my instant reaction out of the theater, is an absolute assault on the senses. For me personally, in the best way possible. Now, this review comes with a very, very big warning. This film has been seriously mismarketed. Not in the sense that the marketing wasn't good or there wasn't enough of it, in the sense that not so much from the trailer, but if you look like from the posters, it always says like this generation's Gladiator. This movie is not Gladiator. Please, for all that is good and all the love of movies that exist, do not go into this movie expecting Gladiator. Gladiator is, in the best possible way, one note. It is an easy to digest revenge story, grand in scope, beautiful in execution, timeless in its storytelling. Yeah, and it's one of the great films. There's no doubt about that. That's not to say that The Northman isn't, but Gladiator is so much easier to digest than The Northman is. Gladiator, although it's an Oscar caliber movie, it falls more in towards the kind of popcorn blockbuster. That almost sounds like I'm diminishing it because there's so much greatness in Gladiator. But Gladiator is easy to digest. The warning that comes with this is if you are expecting a grandiose, bombastic, almost swashbuckling adventure from this, no. Adjust your expectations immediately. Now, the trailer does give away what I thought was the story. It is a revenge story, and like Gladiator, it follows very similar narrative beats. So this young prince, Hamlet, his father gets killed. This is all in the trailer. I'm not spoiling anything here. His father gets killed. He runs away from his home, and the trailer makes it that he comes back years later.
I will avenge you, father. I will save you, mother. I will kill you if you live.
Very Hamlet. And the way the trailer made it is that it's almost as if, he's going to come back when he's older, stronger, and fuck me as he's stronger, ready to reclaim his kingdom.
To find what was stolen from me.
And what is that?
The kingdom.
Not what happens. So that once he returns to attack his uncle, the movie takes a narrative turn that I was really not expecting. And that narrative turn completely slows the movie down. I personally don't think in a bad way, but being completely honest, there was a big audience in the cinema last night when I went to see it. A lot of them got up and left. The movie is methodically slow. I think the pacing is going to be a big issue for people. Because once he comes back, it slows right down. But the movie, like a very good art house movie, like all of director Robert Eager's previous work, the movie demands that you savor the moments, that you savor and digest the character interactions, that you breathe in the atmosphere. And goodness gracious me, the atmosphere in this movie. This is not a glorification of Vikings. Like if you're going in here expecting, again, a big bombastic affair like Gladiator or like any of the big Viking movies. Funnily enough, do you know what? This might be a bit of a deep cut here for some, but there's been two Viking video games in recent years. One of them being Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which is big, bombastic in scope. The other one, far more art house, far less played by the masses, is one called Senua's Sacrifice. This movie, if you get the reference, great. If not, my apologies. This movie is far closer to Senua's Sacrifice than it is to anything else. This movie does not pull any punches to show the bloodlust of the Vikings, to show their honor oath, to show how feral they are, how primitive they are in some aspects. And woof, it really does assault you visually from an audio perspective. It just grabs you by the neck and demands that you listen to it. But it grabs you and squeezes your neck slowly. It's a very slow suffocation, this movie. Purposefully slow, as I said. And if you're not braced for that, much like a lot of the audience in the cinema last night, I don't think this movie is going to work for you. I'm calling it right now. I'm predicting it in the comments. I'm predicting it to come out on Twitter. People are either going to love or hate this movie. But even the people who hate it, there's not going to be any middle ground here. This movie is going to be Marmite. But even the people who hate it, I would hazard a guess, because of how visually impactful this film is, it's going to stay with you. I reckon this is going to become one of those cult movies that people are going to talk about for years to come. And it's going to either divide people on one side saying, oh, it's an art house director who should never have been given a big budget. He doesn't have the sensibility to do a big blockbuster, versus the other side, which is personally where I fall, going, no, this is evidence why art house directors should be given a big budget, because it allows them to execute things which they couldn't do with a smaller budget, while keeping all of the brilliant character development and character moments and narrative threads that you don't get with big blockbusters. Doubt me? I invite you to look at my review of Dumbledore. A perfect example of how blockbusters are unable to follow a simple narrative. This movie, it's feral, it's aggressive, it's an assault to the senses, it's hyper violent, it's methodically slow. I was blown away by it. It's going to stay with me for an awfully long time. Personally, it's one I would say go and see in the cinema, but tread lightly, because you may be one of the, as I said, it's going to divide people. You may be one of the people who goes, what the hell was Nico talking about? This film sucks. I'll understand why you think that. But equally, if you're one of the people who is like, whoa, what a film. Hey, welcome to the party.